Hello everybody, welcome to this lesson. I'm Chodros Kide from Automotive Technology Department at TVTI or Technical and Vocational Institute of Ethiopia. In last video we'll try to see three basic things. The first is the institutional profile or the TVTI profile, and the second portion we will try to see about the teacher's profile, and the third one is the course profile. If you remember about the course profile, we will try to see about the chapter of the course, which includes around 7 chapters. From these chapters, the first one, Introduction to Power Transmission, is our today's coverage. So today we will try to see covered the first chapter of the course, and the content included in this chapter are power transmission mechanism, power transmission mechanism inspection, and in second video we will try to see about the vehicle drivetrain layout, which is under this one, drivetrain and powertrain. We will try to see differentiate both drivetrain and powertrain, and we will try to see about the drivetrain arrangements or layout. Also in the last portion we will try to see inspections performed on the drivetrain systems. So these contents are covered all over through the chapter, but for video we will try to see separately. So the overall objective of the course, if you see at the end of this course or at the end of this introduction to power transmission mechanism course, you must be able to demonstrate the operating and function of power transmission mechanism. You must explain the fundamental concept of mechanical power transmission, and you must inspect power transmission mechanism. Also, you must differentiate different drivetrain layouts from the given, and explain advantage and disadvantage of each drivetrain configuration. When we come to the first week part 1 video, it includes about power transmission mechanism, and all of our content include in this part on in the first week part video. We will try to see about introduction, about the overall target of the drivetrain, and we will try to see the power transmission mechanism includes mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, and pneumatic power transmission mechanism. Also, we'll try to see in the next part of this video about the mechanical power transmission inspection. So this will be our the second video. When you see the introduction part, it introduces about the drivetrain. Obviously, as we know, this drivetrain is helpful to make the power produced by the engine usable to the drive wheels. If you observe this simple video and if you see this part, the front part of the engine will responsible for generating power, and this power is used by the tire to drive the vehicle. That means if you observe the location of the engine and the location of the wheel is really far apart, and also sometimes with the same direction of rotation from the engine, the vehicle will try to move backward, or which means reverse or front direction. So to help this condition, there must be some components which must be the transmission, the clutch, the propeller shaft, the drivetrain, and the differential. So if you observe these parts simply, the valuability or the availability of this the drivetrain component is really mandatory to transfer the power generated from the source to the wheel or the area which can be useful. So as you observe, the word powertrain is typically include the engine, but when you say drivetrain, it seems the arrangement of the components. When we come to the first portion, power transmission mechanism, it's really a general term. When you observe the term power transmission mechanism means it's a way to transfer or move energy from its place of generation to the location where it's applied to be performed useful work. For example, we will generate some power in some area, and maybe that power is useful on some specific areas. If you remember this part, for example, the power is generated from this engine, but engine will transform the chemical energy of fuel into heat energies and mechanical energy, but the end target of this energy, heat energy, is to transfer to the wheels, because the wheel is responsible to move the vehicle. But for the movement of the wheel, the engine must send some power. That's why it requires some power transmission mechanism. And this power transmission mechanism can be classified as mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, and pneumatic power transmission. Let's see one by one. Look, if I ask you an activity to correlate these four things, the mechanical, hydraulical, pneumatic power transmission, based on their system components and operation, you must able to correlate these parts. How? I will show you with easiest way. Let's look some schematic diagram of we will start from the electrical. For example, if I consider the electrical part, now we will have some source. Maybe the source will be the battery. Yeah, with simple box. Then there will be some controlling devices. There will be some protective devices. There will be some load, and at the end it need to have some closed loop circuit with the source, if it is supply side and if it is ground side. Now if you consider this one will be the source of energy, look, the source of energy, and this will be the controlling device, then this will be the protective device, then this one will be the load, or we can say the actuator part. And also these are the paths which allows to pass different things in different perspective. For example, in this case, they allows to pass electron or current. Look, if it is a case, all the mechanical, electrical, pneumatic, and hydraulic power transmission will have some common things if you observe in this perspective. For example, the source for electrical system is battery. You see? Battery. Then the source for the pneumatic part is, like, we can consider as a compressor, and the source for the remaining part will be, so the source for the pneumatic system will be the compressor. Look, if you observe again, the source for hydraulic system is, there will be pump, and the mechanical will have some, there will be some mechanical force which get from, in our case, for example, for the engine, there will be, the engine will be the source for the mechanical power. Now if you see the perspective of paths means which allows the flow of some power transmission. For example, if you observe in the perspective of electric, there will be wires are the paths for the electrical current, and if you observe the paths for the pneumatic system, there will be hydraulic pipes or lines, they may be hoses. Again, the same is true for hydraulic system. the path for this hydraulic system will be, again, line hose are responsible. For the sake of protection, the electrical use some fuse or fusible link. The pneumatic system and hydraulic system uses some power or pressure regulator valves for the sake of protection. And if you see in the perspective of load, for example, electrical system uses some motor, lamp, something like that. If you see in the pneumatic and hydraulic system, they need to have some actuators like cylinders or pistons are helpful to convert this form of energy as a load. So if we see in the perspective of mechanical, there will be some source, the path will be, or the power will be transferred from one place to another. They use what? The path will be the mechanical parts like clutch or coupling mechanisms, shafts, gears, chains are the paths which allows to transfer power from the source to the next part. And they will have also some controlling device. In most cases, specifically clutch are valuable in this part, which allows to pass or to stop the clutch. I mean, the power come from the source. And for the sake of the load, they will have some thing which will be operate due to this mechanical force. For example, if you observe the engine, the load of the vehicle will be load which transforms the vehicle, the engine operation into motion. So this makes correlate both mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic parts. Look, when you come to the mechanical system, they will have chain, sprocket, wheel, gears, belts, or with pulley, coupling, and shafts are helpful to transfer, or they are really the actors which are operate in this mechanical part. If you see electrical system, they will have some power which converted in different form by having some pressure and the flow of current. When they passing through the conductor and the load, they will operate or change some form of energy. Again, the hydraulic system, by pump, they will generate and transmit through some hydraulic line, which is pipes, hoses, and tubes. Again, they will convert it to mechanical power from using or by using hydraulic motors, cylinders, or actuators. The same for pneumatic, there is compressor transmitted through some pneumatic lines, and they are converted to mechanical power from or by using pneumatic motor, cylinder, or actuators. So if you see specifically the mechanical power transmission mechanism, the first mechanical power transmission the mechanism you see is the chain method. So chain is chain are used for especially lower speed application, which is when the speed is not really higher relatively when you see from the gears, where the distance between the shafts is too far. When you say the shafts, the drive and the driven member is far apart. It's better if you use some chains. And again, when exact speed ratio are needed, which means when we to have exactly when we want to transfer the input rotation to the output, and when slip is our enemy, which means if there is some slippage, and if the slippage causes some misalignment on operation, or if it distracts the operation of system, chain is preferable. Chain are very efficient at transmitting speed and torque. Chain drive are not as susceptible to the negative effect of conditions like age, lubricants, or sunlight. Maintenance cost is often low due to these factors, because if you expose chain and belt for light, they are durable. The only disadvantage for this chain is the initial cost is very high relatively to the other technology. If you observe the chains, look, the distance from here to here is really far. Again, again, in addition to the distance, in addition to the distance, they have some grooves, so they can transfer the exact seed ratio. For example, this one is, it seems, the chain we use for transfer case application. The next part is, or the next power transmission mechanism is gear method. This gear is one of the most extensively used form of transmission in mechanical power transmission. We use gear when power needs to be transmitted over a very short space and when we need to have a constant velocity ratio. So that means chain is highly efficient in transmitted power, and it produce, or the product will be compact structure, reliable operation, and longer service life, which means it's really durable. It cannot wear and tear easily relative to the belts. So gears drives provide a comprehensive coverage of gear and gear drives. Most of the time we use gears extensively because the gear can obtain the transmission of between the parallel axis, intersecting axis of any angle, and the staggering axis of any angle. As you observe from this picture, they are really compact, or the distance is very closer. And if you observe this spur gear, the straight gear, spiral gear, planetary gear, hypoid gear, they can able to transfer in different angles. For example, mostly we use this spur gear in reverse gear of gearbox, manual gearbox. This one we will use in differential parts, the straight gear and spiral bevel gear. This one we use in automatic transmission, and this gear we use in differential. Also, we use this gear on steering system. Most of the time, these double helical gears are applicable in machinery to transmit very higher torque. Also in steering system and differential, we use screw gears. Also rack and pinion used in steering system. The third part is belt method. If you observe belt method, they are really useful when you are looking for a smooth transfer of power is desired, because these belts are preferable to transfer smooth, and when they are operated, really they are silent relatively from chain and gear, because they will have rubber with pulley and the contact is really smooth. If you need some simple power transmission mechanism, belt is preferable, and if you need cost-effective, quieter power transmission mechanism, you can use chain, or if the distance between the shafts is very long, like the chain method. On the other hand, the belt drive have really shorter lifespan compared to the other types of drive technology, and it's also more limited speed, because if the speed is too much increase, there will be a probability of slippage. So if we use for short distance, this chain method is better. Look at the different types of chain arrangement. For example, this one is open drive belt, cross drive belt, when we need to have opposite direction of rotation the driving in the driving member, V belt drive, flat belt drive, and timing belt drive. So this is different types of belt drive arrangements we can observe. Okay, now let's have summary on this first video. So today we will focus on the power transmission mechanism. If you remember, the drivetrain and the drivetrain is the mechanical part of the powertrain, and which means this drivetrain is one part of the powertrain, and the drivetrain makes the power produced by the engine usable to the drive wheels, because somewhere the power is generated. If you remember, for example, somewhere with hydropower, solar energy, you can generate or you can produce some electrical power, but maybe that power is used for some rural area or for some cities. So you need to have some power transmission mechanism which allows to make usable this generated power at different area. And also, if you observe the power transmission mechanisms, they are really applicable on mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, and pneumatic operated system. And we will try to correlate this part. All have source, all have some controlling device, all have some protective device, and all have some paths at different perspective. And also they will have some source as a whole, and this source is usable at the end by means of actuators or by means of load in different parts. Mechanical power transmission mechanism mostly uses to transmit power shafts, gear, chain, and belt method. So these are our today's focus. If you have any, thank you for your attention. If you have any question, comments regarding with my presentation, you can contact me with this phone number and with this email. Thank you for your